Welcome to Sports Talk at HCAM. I'm Brian DeStoop with Alex Vogel, and where'd Joe go? No, I'm just kidding. Joe's not going to be here today, so filling in is our principal, Mr. Vinny Hayward. He's going to be filling in today. A lot of hockey stuff, so obviously that's great. I've been talking to him about hockey since I got to the school, so A lot of great stuff today. So we missed a show last week. So the Iginla trade, or the no trade, what happened there? We're going to get to that, and how the backup plan was Jaromir Jagr, how he'll fit in here, where he'll play, come playoff time, what line. We'll talk about Bergeron, his injury, what is that going to impact on the team, and will he come back? And last concussion he had, 2 games and he was back. So what are we going to expect from this? How long will he be out? Is there a goalie controversy at all? Should Tuukka Rask be given the job in the playoffs, or should they take a serious look at Hudobin, do something most teams don't do, and play 2 guys in the playoffs? So we'll get to that. And can the Bruins make a serious run? And we'll get to some Red Sox stuff preseason, even though the season started, and what we expect from them going forward, how many wins, that type of stuff. So let's get right to the Iginla trade. What did you think when you heard about the Iginla trade, that it was going to happen, and then it didn't happen?
Well, it was about 10 at night, I heard it was going to happen. I said, all right, we lost to Montreal, devastating loss that night. They had been up a few goals, then they came back. They got ahead, then they tied it up. They lost it in the shootout. And the consolation before I went to bed was, Iginla's coming, good timing. Until it's done, you don't say it's done.
Yeah, definitely.
You got to make sure it's done before you announce it and speculation gets on. But, but I'm very happy with Plan B.
Plan B's not bad.
So that softens it a bit. But, I think it really sets up an interesting thing, too, where he went to Pittsburgh, who I think will be our competition. So
definitely.
Iginla will be in Boston. It will be under different circumstances, though.
Definitely. What was your whole reaction, Alex, about Iginla?
Well, when I heard he might come to Boston, I was happy because he's one of the better players in the league. And then when I heard that he went to Pittsburgh, I'm like, just give Pittsburgh the cup already.
That's what you might have thought, and then Crosby takes the puck to the jaw, and he's out 4 to 6 weeks, which, I don't know what that was, but, I guess at 12 o'clock these guys had a deal, and then it comes down to, I guess, that Peter Chiarelli kept calling Jay Feast, Chicago's GM, and he didn't say anything back. So you have to think, is something else going on? And they said that hand agreement had a deal, but Iginla has a no trade. So I don't know what Chiarelli was thinking there. Why don't you, at least try to keep calling him, fax some paperwork or something, because you have to not be convinced when you go like 5 hours without any contact from the team when they tell you deal's done. So, I think it was tough. They gave a better offer, though. Calgary liked their offer better. It just turned out to be, Iginla wanted to go to Pittsburgh. I don't blame him. You have Malkin, Crosby, James Neal on your team. You got a lot more offensive firepower there than you do in Boston. And I think if Boston got him, I don't know if they were still as good as Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh just really separated themselves. And I think the only reason they did it is because they get Chicago on the Stanley Cup. They're kind of even. 2 really lines that most teams won.
Yeah.
That's what they have down there now. On Chicago, you got Taves the centerman, and then you have Kane on the wing on another one, and you got Hossa, and if Patrick Sharp comes back. So that's what they did there, I think. And then they got Murray from San Jose, too, at the deadline to get another defenseman. Yeah. So they did a lot of stuff. I think those are clearly your 2 best teams in hockey right now. And even technically, Pittsburgh only got a 3-point lead over Montreal, but that could soften. But Pittsburgh will be the 1 seed in this conference. So I definitely think that. But the Jagr trade's good.
Yeah, Iginla, obviously, I think he's 35 or whatever he is. He's going to win a cup. He might have looked at it, like you said, looked at Crosby, Malkin, and said, where's my best chance to win a Stanley Cup? And I'm sure that factors in his decision. But he's coming from the Western Conference. I'm sure it isn't anything built up over the years about disliking Boston. But that's him making a determination that Pittsburgh is better positioned to win a cup than Boston. And, I disagree.
Really?
I disagree with that, yes. And I think the Jagr addition is going to really help the one area where Boston was clearly way below other teams in the league, which is the power play. Because Jaromir Jagr still, the face-off circles and below, coming out of the corners, down low in the offensive zone, from there in, he's still one of the best in the league.
Definitely.
He had 6 power play goals when he got here. No one on our top line had a single power play goal. So he clearly can give Boston what it's missing, which is some power play effectiveness. Down low, I mean, Luch and Horton, big bodies in the first line, but it's, you're spending the whole time in the zone just cycling around in the corner,
definitely.
And no one can actually come out of the corner, either with Yager's ability to handle the puck, and he's a big body, and kind of come out and kind of get out of the corner, not just keep pushing it back. He doesn't have that kind of first step explosive speed that Sagan uses to get out of the corner and Marchand. But he's going to give something the Bruins didn't have.
They didn't, no.
And again, his effectiveness in the power play, I think will put Boston in a position where I like their chances against Pittsburgh or anybody. And then the goaltending we'll get to later, I think.
The goal, yeah, we'll get to that.
I do.
All right, what are your thoughts on Yager Alex and what he'll bring to the team?
Well, from last night, I think he had 1 goal.
Yeah, went off his skate and went in.
Yeah, well, so far he's been good, and I think it might help us a good amount with the power play, as Vinny or Mr. Hayward or whatever I need to call him now said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I think that Yager's going to help, and he gives. I mean, he's 41, but he has 14 goals coming here. He could still score offensively, but he's never been the biggest defensive guy. And you're not going to get what you got in, with him in Pittsburgh back when he was in, and the Rangers. It's when he was in his prime. You're not going to get that. But and people have made a lot of comparisons to Mark Recchi. I think he's going to give you more than Recchi. When Recchi won the Cup here, I think that he was at the very end of the line. He didn't have what he had even when he first got to Boston. Yager has more offensive capability. My question is, where do you put him? Because if you put him with Krejci, I think that if it was me, my first line is Krejci, Horton, and you either move Horton to the left and put Yager on the right, but you bump Lucic down to that third line. So I think he's always been a third line player. I've never liked him on the first line. Yeah. And I think if you do that, and you put Krejci and Yager together, I think, and if Horton, he's got his act together recently, keeps going, that first line's great.
Yeah, I know Krejci's a big fan of Yager's, huge fan of Yager's.
I heard about that too.
And obviously, I think that will spur him along to really play good. And I'd like to see them together. I don't know if Horton could move over to the other side. That'd probably be a bit of a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
At the pro level, to move over to the other side. Probably a bigger deal than if it's just, town league hockey.
Definitely,
or what have you. But, I think the Bergeron injury complicates things as to where people are going. But once we get Chris Kelly's coming back shortly, he's got a few more days out. That will give us another center iceman. And, it'll be interesting. But Yager can't be I agree with you, Brian, that Yager can't be on a third line.
No, definitely not.
Cannot be on a third line. Guy's way too talented. He didn't come here for third line minutes.
He come here to play with Peverly. Period. He did not come here to play with Peverly and Kelly. And as much as some people might like them,
you can't break up. You can't break up Bergeron, Sagan, and Marchand. They're the best line in hockey.
That's why you put Lucic down and you say Horton. Look, if you want to stay on this line,
Horton down.
Well, you could do that, but I personally think Lucic is more. He's more down to that position.
I know because I see what you're saying, but Horton down to a third line in the playoffs. If you got him with the other third line players that are big bodies who can bang, and then you put a little kind of good shooter on those lines. You got to have at minimum 3 lines going who can score.
Yeah.
It might be good to kind of spread that out a little bit. But Yager on the power play, I think, will be a huge difference. Like Alex was saying, too, with the power play, I think that's going to be his biggest impact.
But I would not be surprised with this coach, and I was just telling you before, I'm not the biggest Julian fan, and what he does, don't be surprised when Bergeron comes back. I would bet this, that Yager will be playing on that third line. Because he does, when he tried to send a message to Lucic, you're going on the third line, it was a period and a half, and he scores a goal and he puts him back. I mean, if I was him, I would have a couple games. That sends the message, not a period and a half. It shows how much he wants to have his consistent lines, and that's why Yager will play there.
Now your true colors are coming out. because you said more than you're not just not a fan of Julian. I was surprised. You said I want to bash this guy a little bit, and you went to it.
I'm not the
you started off soft.
I'm not the biggest Julian fan.
That's an understatement. I was surprised. The guy who's helped get the cup here.
Greg Campbell on the power play in the Stanley Cup. That is just a disgrace. He's not awful.
Well, when the power play is not scoring any goals at all, I guess you try anything.
You're fourth line centerman.
You're going to try anything at that point.
I don't know. All right.
But I was surprised because I was, he got a cup here. I gave them a lot of grades. He got a cup here, and it's a long time. I didn't think that was going to happen.
I did not.
And when you first came to the school, you and your brothers and things like that, you were the only kids I saw wearing Bruins stuff. The only kids I saw wearing Bruins clothes. And I said, I got to talk to these kids because everyone else, Celtics, Red Sox were winning, and you guys had hockey stuff on. So we started hockey talk in the hallways and stuff. So you get how long it was and how they were out of the limelight. And, now they're back.
They're back. But the expectation is conference finals or bust at this point. With the talent they had, if you don't get to the conference finals, then the season was a failure. It's not when they were in 07, 08 when they first kind of got back and they went Game 7 to Montreal in the first round. That was higher than anybody thought.
So what have you done for me lately, Claude?
That's exactly how I feel.
I get it.
That's exactly how I feel. All right, so I want to get Alex right now. Bergeron concussion. Do you think if he's not back and healthy, what do you think of this team? Because I personally think they're done if he doesn't come back.
Well, last night they weren't doing very well at all on the face-offs.
No, you can tell you missed them.
think they've done. I think they won about 4 or 5 or something like that in that area. So I think the face-offs are going to be one of the harder things for them if Bergeron doesn't come back.
Definitely. What do you think about if Bergeron either is out for an extended period of time or he just comes back not the same guy, he doesn't come back at all? What would your expectations be for the Bruins?
Well, I mean, you guys know, from the last cup run, if you get a hot goalie, anything can happen.
That's true.
Okay, anything can happen. Tim Thomas was on his head. They only had to score 1 goal a couple times. So, Bergeron, probably the best player in the game in all 3 areas of the ice.
Definitely, no question.
All 3 areas of the ice and the face-off. You're not going to replace him. But the good thing is that when he had the concussion before, I think it was the Philadelphia series, he got a concussion.
Might have been the Lightning one. The Lightning one. He came back 2 games.
Then he came back and didn't miss a beat.
No, he didn't. I remember.
Very quick recovery from that. So hopefully, even if he's out, a bit of it's precautionary, and hopefully he's able to come back quickly and not really be rusty or be off, and it's not, it has no impact once he's back going forward. I do think, without Bergeron, if that second line can't stay consistent like they are, they're in trouble because you don't always get production out of the top line. Top line does a lot, though, occupying the other team's defensive lines, which frees things up for the lines behind them. So they're often get tough matchups, but they don't always score a lot. Bergeron, Marchand, Sagan. I mean, Sagan in that playoff run too. I mean, he's getting hardly any ice time. Wasn't even playing. It was him and Thornton, whether Sean Thornton or Sagan was going to play.
The Bergeron injury got Sagan to get in, and then he went off in the first 2 games. But then he was done after that. You didn't hear anything from him. They're explosive as far as being able to get offense going, and they can make offense. So, I'd be worried without Bergeron, but I'd still watch. Still watching the games. Definitely. I mean, I think Bergeron brings so much to this team. His consistency. You know what you're going to get every single game from this guy.
Every shift.
Face-offs, two-way forward, and he's in the neutral zone, his own zone, in the attacking zone. He's power play, penalty kill. How many guys do you have who are if you call this on your first line, who are probably one of your best guys in the power play and one of your best penalty killers, and you can count on that? Not many. Not many of your power play guys are penalty killers, and that's how good this guy is, and they need him. He's MVP of this team. People will say, no, this guy is the most important to the Bruins, and I think he'll be okay. I really think he'll come back fine.
I mean, I don't know where Alex is on this, but I agree with that. I agree that he's that. I mean, I think he's the MVP of the team. I think he's the best all-around player on this team, and if there was any player I would say I don't want to lose, it'd be him. I mean, even down, with the two goalies, I mean, most of the time, your goalie's your most important player. But right now, because we have a good backup goalie, Bergeron's it. He's it.
What are your thoughts on Bergeron, Alex?
Not sure.
Wow, you don't think he's that good? We just laid out a pretty good case.
Yeah, I think I agree with you guys. He's one of probably the best player on the Bruins right now, maybe possibly in the league. So yeah.
You got to get rid of that maybe possibly. He is hands down. The guy's dominant. He's about 60% in the face-off dot. Making Marchand and Sagan, even though they're talented, they're young players.
What happened to
This is a
Bergeron's
very
not on that
effective line with two young players, and Bergeron himself, I think, is what?
He's only 27.
Yeah,
That's the
young
thing.
player. So he's unbelievable to just be able to go in there and, he's part of the success of those two. So
I would definitely say
Bergeron.
that. And I just want to quickly get to this before we get to some Red Sox stuff, because I want to get to that definitely. Should there be a goalie controversy? Should this be open that, hey, if Udobin the last part of the year plays better than Rask, should they put him in? Or is Rask a lock?
It's healthy to have competition.
Definitely.
It's healthy to have someone looking over their shoulders. Hudobin came in, had 2 strong games. People gave him back-to-back games. What happens last night? Tuukka Rask shutout.
True.
1-0. Okay, so maybe you're Claude bashing.
No, I give him
Maybe
credit
there's
for
a
that.
method to his madness because all of a sudden Tuukka comes around right at the right time.
No, I definitely look.
Yeah.
It's open for discussion, and it's open for if this guy plays better, you put him in. Because I don't think Rask.
I'm
is
with you. I
overrated.
like having.
But
Hey, it works in Vancouver.
it does. I mean, but then you go Luongo. Do you hear what Luongo said about his contract?
No, I didn't.
Oh, well, I'm not a paraphrase, but he pretty much he said his contract stinks, and that that's why he didn't get traded to Toronto, and he had to go back the next day, obviously, to play a game, and he pretty much just said, "Yeah, I hate my contract, couldn't get traded." Like open press conference, so that didn't go good.
Yeah, it'd be tough to make multi-million-dollar, millions and millions of dollars.
And
I'd
you
hate
don't
to-
like your contract.
I'd hate to have a contract like that.
So would I, definitely. What would you say, Alex? Should there be a goalie controversy? Should there be an open competition? Like, if you play better, you're in. Or do you think Rask is the guy no matter what?
I think there should probably be a competition because Hudobin's a good goalie. Same with Tuukka, but I think Tuukka's a little bit better. But
I would
agree
say
with you, Alex.
he's
Yeah.
a slight. He's better, and he has
But
playoff
it's-
experience.
but
You're being pushed
Hudobin,
now.
He is definitely have to.
but Hudobin last year only played like a couple games, so it's basically like his first time playing at the NHL level, and he's doing pretty good.
Doing very good. I would say he's as a backup goalie. He's probably one of their better backup goalies in the league. Definitely, hands down. All right, so. We'll see what happens this week with Yager, the Lions, and Bergeron. A lot of these questions eventually will be answered. Playoffs start in a couple weeks. I want to get to the Red Sox right now. Season started in New York. Very good the first 2 games. Not as good as the last game, but they played good. Lester gives you a good start. I think gave 5 innings, but that's okay. Opening day, threw a lot of pitches. Second game, you get Buckholz. Looked good, and they win that one pretty easily. And then Dempster pitches last night, goes 5 innings. I think gave up 3 runs, which isn't awful for a first start. And the Sox lose. But personally, we didn't get to this last week, but I want to get to all our wins. I think this team is going to win 85 games and be in it for a playoff spot because I think this division's weak. And I think everybody says Toronto because they're papered, but half those guys were on the Marlins last year and they won 60-something games. So I'm not going to go saying Toronto's going to win. I'll give Toronto like 89 wins. They're not even going to get to 90. They're not the best team. They might win the AL East. And then I'll give the Sox and Rays wild card spots, and they'll play a game to decide. And I think the Red Sox have a good shot. But it all depends on – it's tough to say. But I think they're better than last year. And I think they would have won about 80 games if they didn't trade everybody. But they're not a bad team. And it all depends. There's a lot of questions. Will Jacoby Ellsbury stay healthy and play at a high level? With his contract looming, I would think he'd actually stay healthy and have a good year like a couple years ago to get the big bucks because it's a weaker free agent class. So I think he'll try to do that. And then it's the pitching staff. Does Lester bounce back? He looked good the other day. What do you get from Buckholz? He did better last year, but he had an ERA in the fours, and this guy can't stay healthy. He's had one good year, really. 2010, he was 16-6 with an ERA in the threes. That's a good year. What do you get from Dempster? If you get 12 wins with about a high 3 ERA, I'm good with that. What does Lackey give you? He's starting tonight, so I'm interested to see what he'll give you. Coming up to Tommy John. And again, if he wins like 11, 12 games, but even if he gets an ERA in the fours, that's fine. And what does Felix DeBronx give you as your fifth starter? I think the bullpen's not a question. And then it comes down to what will your offense be? It's different. Will Napoli give you productivity? Will Poppy come back? And will he hit home runs for you like he should? He's getting paid like it. Yeah. Will Pedroia play good? He's been battling injuries and hitting in the 270s, 280. I want to get back to when he won the MVP. I want Pedroia to play at that level again. And then Middlebrooks, what do you see from him? And Jackie Bradley, who everybody loves right now. He looked good, not bad in the first couple games. What do you get from him? So, what do you guys? We'll start with Alex this time. Win total for the Red Sox.
About what you said with the 80s wild card spot.
Yeah. Do you think their pitching staff will be at all better than last year? It's tough to be much worse, but do you think they'll improve and pitch good enough?
Well, Pedro Martinez as I think the pitching coach.
He's assistant GM.
Or the assistant. Well, he can help the pitchers a lot since he was one of our best pitchers when he was playing with us. I think he can help out the pitching, but I still think it's going to be pretty weak.
What are your thoughts on the Sox in win total?
I'll go with 83.
That's a good number. It's around my ballpark, definitely.
I'll go with 83.
Playoff spot or no playoff spot?
I don't know. That has a lot to do with the wild card. I predict them to next. You can't after what's happened say they're gonna win the division.
No.
The division's weak, but it can unravel quick. Injuries play a part. Baseball's such a long season. The Yankees look horrible now, but they're gonna get guys back eventually.
Definitely.
And, the Yankees could be dominant for a month. I don't think they have a lot to have a long season, but that if that month is halfway through August through the end of the year type thing, that could really keep the Sox out of it. And they'll have a lot of games. They'll have a lot of divisional games with them. So I don't think the Yankees. I loved their lineup the other day.
Oh, that was Francisco.
Yeah, I love the lineup they had the other day, but they won't have that lineup all year. And if you hit them hot when they get guys back, Mariano's still there, and we don't really have guys hitting 3-run homers this year.
No,
we're not built for that. And without that, you don't beat some good closes and stuff. So I give 83. They'll be in the hunt, and I'll hopefully, if it's still the start of next school year when we're going back and we're talking about the Sox, and it's interesting, I'll be happy.
Definitely. I think it's a possibility. Quickly, at the very end, the Sox sent Jose Iglesias back down to the minors, and he was I think he hit 5 for 8 in the series against New York, so he was actually hitting. And Steven Drew's coming back, but his fielding's great. He's a great fielder, but his hitting hasn't been as good. But in a season like this, where I don't think you have much to lose at all after coming off what you had, give him this year, see if he can do it. Would you agree with that? Because they're sending to the minors, I think that's a wrong decision.
Well, young guys got to play. They got to play or you don't get better. A lot of that has to do, I don't know per se, but a lot of it has to do with contracts and what happens and how close, do they become a free agent quicker or get to, different things. So sometimes I know they send guys down for those reasons. I don't know, you guys might know better than I do. But, it's a long season and you need guys swinging the bat because someone's going to get hurt.
Definitely.
There'll be an injury somewhere.
He'll be back up. What are your thoughts on Iglesias?
I agree that they probably shouldn't have sent him down. He's been hitting, unlike Middlebrooks, who was 0 for 8.
He has a little bit longer of a leash, I would say, though.
Yeah, he's one of our better. Middlebrooks is one of our better players. Yeah, but he doesn't hit. But Iglesias has been, and as you said, he is a good fielder. So I don't think it was a good idea to send him down.
I wouldn't have paid Steven Drew $9 million anyway to do that. All right, so we're running out of time here. We didn't get to any Patriots this week or Celtics, but Celtics, Pierce are going to hurt. A lot of questions, and they're only leading, I think, 1.5 for the 8th spot. If they fall the 8th spot, they get Miami's first round. I'll give it 5 games, and they're done. And anybody who thinks they get to the 3rd round, right now, I think you're crazy. They'll be lucky to get to the 2nd. Not even get to the conference finals. They're just too old and too hurt. And I've been saying that for a long time.
I feel like you're holding back. Tell us how you really feel.
I feel they're old. They should have. Danny H should have pulled the trigger on these guys a couple years ago.
Oh, it sounds like it's like 1990 all over again. They should have got rid of the big three.
They should have
done it earlier.
And 5 years, it will be like when Pierce was here by himself. You'll have a 5-year period where this team will be back to the way they were because they didn't get young talent. And they're not going to have lottery picks because they're going to be 7 or 8 spot for a couple of years. So anyway, we're going to get to that next time. Hopefully, the draft's coming up. We're going to have draft preview stuff for the NFL. What are the Pats going to do? I'm going to guess they're going to trade out and get more picks. So we'll talk about that. And I still haven't done anything in free agency, which is still bugging me. So we'll get to that. All that coming up if they do anything. And we'll check on the Sox, and obviously this Bruins stuff will continue.
Stanley Cup Finals.
I hope so. I said at the beginning of the year, but we'll see. So I'm Brian Stoop with Alex Vogel and Mr. Hayward. Joe, I don't know if he'll be back next week. We hope so. No offense. We just, all of us next time.
Right.
That'd be great, But so yeah, we'll catch you next time.